Welcome back to Teaching the Unteachables, where we dive into methods for teaching and learning for professionals like you. This session was recorded live at the 2023 National HVACR Education Conference. To learn more about the UA, visit ua.org. Okay, thank you all for joining us. So we're hanging out with Brian Kelly from the UA today to talk about investing in yourself long term. So when we get into the HVAC industry, there's a variety of paths to get into the industry. And one of the paths that many technicians overlook, like myself as a young technician in the industry, is how to properly invest in yourself long term. So as a young man, I had, always have those plans in the back of your mind of retiring and what retirement looks like, but you never really dive too deep into it. And hopefully you invest in yourself and you start putting some funds aside. But an option that people don't dive into is the security of being in a large organization that is completely focused on your long-term security. So, Brian, thanks for joining us today, and let's talk a little bit about benefits of being in the UA.
Sure, I'm happy to be here, and thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today. So, I can speak a little from my own experience. I didn't happen to stumble upon it. My dad was a member of the UA, so when I decided not to attend traditional college, or hold on, let me rephrase that. When I attended one semester and I felt like it wasn't for me, I signed up and entered the HVAC trade into the Pipe Fitters Union in Boston.
Right.
And just like everybody else, when you're 19 and 20 years old, you think you're invincible. You think your body's going to last forever. You think
I
you're going to
do this for 50 years.
You think you can, I was smart enough to listen to folks that taught me, hey, listen, pay yourself first. Make sure you're always saving, putting a little away for retirement. Don't spend everything you make. The whole 9 yards. We all get the same advice, but quite frankly, when you're a young buck, you think your body's gonna last like that forever.
That's right. I'll do that. I'll get to that point sometime.
Truthfully, in my experience, and I have a diversified experience. I came up as a technician. I was an instructor, business agent, business manager. I ran a local union, and so I got to see what people. And in my experience, most people didn't really start thinking about retirement until they got to their 40s.
Yeah, that was me, unfortunately.
And that's when, unfortunately, you start getting some aches and pains, and, your body starts, breaking down. Let's face it, it is a tough trade. It is physically and mentally demanding, for that matter.
Yeah, absolutely. But you're right. I was on the other side of that pole, and I don't know why, because I always anticipated that I would just, continue in the trade, and then I'd really focus on at some point, investing long term. And I've always, done investing, but not to the point of where I stopped and really looked. It wasn't until I was 40 that I stopped and went, am I on track? Because we have this, stipulation that, if we put some in that, we'll be okay, and we'll relook at it sometime. And at 40, I stopped and went, okay, this is all on me. I have to look at this, and I have to be able to look for some help to figure out, what I'm going to need going forward. So it's one of those situations where many times when we're that young buck and, we think that we are going to go forever and we're never going to have to really rely on anyone, is until we get a little bit later in life and go, you know what? It's very important to be a part of something and to know that there's things that you can rely on. Because in my own life, my father was a member of the operating engineers, so he ran heavy machinery his whole life. And I, at the time growing up, it was a job. You didn't recognize that it had different benefits than, other jobs. It was just, a job. And it wasn't until late in his life, after retirement and skin cancer just really, taken over his livelihood, that I realized the benefits of being a member of something larger than yourself.
Yeah. So similar to your experience, I had that the same type of self-reflection, in and around, that 40-year-old age type of thing where, I looked at myself in the mirror and I questioned, am I on track? Am I going to be good for retirement? I certainly want to be good for retirement. I knew I had good benefits. And, what sets me apart from a lot of other people is, I belong to a union, and the fringe benefit package, in addition to having great health insurance, we have a great retirement plan too. But like I said, the major difference is that's done for me. That's over. That's
you don't have to think about it as much.
I don't have to think about it. It's over and above my weekly paycheck. It's paid directly from the employer to the fringe benefit funds, and at the end of my career, I'll have a defined benefit pension. It'll pay me X amount of dollars per month, and an annuity to supplement that. So the idea and people that came long before I did set this whole thing up. The idea is to be able to, you work a career, your body's tired at the end, but when it comes that time, you're able to retire with dignity and, still live the same lifestyle you're living while you're working.
Man, all you have to do is look around and realize that, that's not the path for everybody. There are many people that, have to continue working later in life because of not having that preparation, not having that security earlier on in life. So a lot of things to think about as a young technician. And many of our young technicians today are thinking towards the future more than we have as a generation. So as young technicians coming into the UA, what kind of things can they be looking for? What kind of things should they expect as they start looking at a benefits package?
Well, as far as the benefits package, I mean, you want to look into one, certainly the retirement package, certainly the health care. Most people coming into the trade, and it doesn't matter when you come in. I mean, I came in, I was fortunate. I got in when I was 19, 20 years old. But we have folks, we have college graduates that cannot find a job in their profession, that want to enter a
skilled trade,
that is recession proof, is pandemic proof. I mean, these are things that hit home. Certainly a retirement package, and again, for those younger folks coming in, especially those that are looking to start a family, that those health benefits help tremendously when you're having a family.
Oh, so true. Now, tell me a little bit about the design of UA. So, if someone goes through a union apprenticeship program, and they live in one area, they're unsure what their future looks like. What is like the transferability of a UA program if they decide, say, hey, maybe I just met me a gal that's halfway across the country, and I might need to relocate.
Sure, it happens all the time, and that is one of the benefits of being a member of the United Association. You have that ability. It's an international organization, actually, the United States and Canada. So, if you do decide to relocate, there's two options. You can either go to work in the new area where you move to on what we call a travel card, which means you're quote unquote a guest in the other jurisdiction or the other territory, but you're earning their wages and benefits in the territory that you're on, that you newly reside in, and or you can just transfer into that organization, into that local union if that's going to be your permanent residence.
Okay, fantastic. So,
I can add plenty. One of the, certainly as a member of a union, I can, and as somebody that ran a union, I can say unequivocally, there's probably high 90% of our people that would not have saved as much as the union did for them upon retirement.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know just in my own personal experiences of how many friends have cashed out 401ks and, took huge losses on them to, put up a new barn or buy that motorcycle that they want, or, things along the way, or, what we consider maybe emergency expenses, but, truly not in what I would consider, emergency enough to affect your long-term retirement. So in that, tell me about the security of investing in your retirement. So that's a non-touchable security.
It's non-touchable. I mean, you actually never even, at least on the pension side, you never even see it. The contractor makes contributions on your behalf, and you only see it upon retirement, or in the unlikely event that you become disabled or whatnot. It's there strictly for retirement. A lot of unions have a supplemental retirement too, in the form of annuity or something similar that.
Right.
You may have an opportunity similar to a 401k to take a hardship withdrawal or whatnot.
Right.
Every local union has a little different setup, but
true.
you got to remember it. These are funds that are supposed to be for retirement, and they're set aside for a reason, because you need them. And quite frankly, I honestly think that there's not enough talk about saving for retirement these days. And you keep seeing on the news, especially in today's day and age, about the Social Security and funding it, and whether or not it's going to be there in the future.
Topic. Yeah,
it's a hot topic, and a lot of people count on that for their retirement. And let's face it,
what happens
if it's not there in the future?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Definitely eye-opening for me, the opportunities that we have. So when we're looking as young technicians, in particularly, or technicians that are just rethinking their investment plan in themselves, check in with your local UA. Learn about the opportunities to secure your future. And if you're a parent looking at options for your students, think about the long-term investment that you have here. We've invested in raising our children, hoping to prepare them for life, and maybe we've never looked at the opportunities to put them in paths that will help take some of that responsibility and that burden of the planning off from their shoulders. Because many of us, especially some of us guys, are not the best at self-planning for our future and our retirement. So it just opens up a whole lot of opportunities.
Sure. No matter how old you are, where you are in the trade, take a good solid look at that, because I'll tell you right now, no matter where you are on the age spectrum, I can tell you from personal experience, and I know you can too, Clifton, your body doesn't last forever.
Man.
Take some time to look at your retirement setup, and if you're not socking away money for retirement, please do so.
Now, one other question I just sparked a thought. So with our apprenticeship program, are there age restrictions on joining the UA?
There are not. I mean, we tend to get younger folks, typically right out of either high school or trade school, or even college, that maybe cannot find a job in their discipline or whatnot. But there's no age restrictions. I mean, we've taken in guys 40, 50. I will say, as you get older, the benefit of the retirement it's reduced only because you don't have the number of years,
absolutely,
credited years in the organization or in the business.
You can only take out what you put in.
For sure.
Okay. All right. Well, Brian Kelly, thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure as always, and we will talk to you on the next round.
Thanks for having me.